Hey Saturn guys and girls, this is Dave from SEGA Saturn SHIRO, and I wanted to do a quick playthrough of a game called Initial D on the SEGA Saturn. Now, if any of you guys have listened to any of our podcasts recently, we did a racing episode, and you're probably wondering to yourself, why, oh why, Dave, are you playing this game? This game that you claimed was perhaps the worst racing game on the SEGA Saturn. And that's a fair question. To be honest with you, I recently did a video of Drift King 97 Shitokuo Battle, and I was really impressed. I was actually, it exceeded my expectations, to be honest, and I really do generally appreciate Genki racing games, and I was looking up the information, and it turns out that this is a Genki developed release that came out in 1998. So it actually came after Shitokuo Battle, Drift King 97. And I figured, by all intents and purposes, this game should be better than that game. They should have been able to port that drift mechanic. They should have been able to use that same engine and make a better game. And I know my buddy Pat, and I'm not throwing him under the bus here, I agreed with him fully in the podcast episode. Pat claimed that this was the worst racing game that he had played on the SEGA Saturn, if not on any console. And, the truth is, I haven't played this game probably for about a decade. So I felt like, maybe I need to give it a fair shake, do a little bit of a playthrough of it, and see if it's really as bad as we said that it was on that podcast episode. And I think it's only fair to, show all of you guys if this game has any redeeming qualities at all. So, I'm going to fire this up and I'm going to get right into the scenario mode. Now, Kodansha, they are a Japanese publisher. They do a lot of manga and stuff like that. So they also published this game, but it was Genki developed. Sorry, I've got like a frog in my throat. But so I'm going to load this up and I'm going to see here. It seems to be missing a lot of the Eurobeat music that we had in the anime. Instead, they went for kind of like a rock punk kind of vibe. But so in your options down here, what do we got? We got music volume, sound effect volume, stereo mono. I'll leave the animation on. I'm sure that has something to do with the load times and the key assign. Okay, so I am just going to go straight into the scenario mode. I'll choose new game. Sure. I'm going to go easy here. And I've played one quick little playthrough before, but this is my first impression after playing, having not played this game for like 10 years. So we've got some story exposition in Japanese. And that's Takumi. He's the main character, and that's his girlfriend. I forget her name. This is not FMV. This looks like 240p, like sprite animation, which I kind of like. If it was FMV, it probably would be really grainy. So stage 1. Okay, this is your buddy. This is your buddy's car. The 8.5 is kind of like an 8.6 wannabe. I forget his name. Okay, so he's all confident. He's like, why don't you race me in my new 8.5? Sugoi! Or something like that. He's like, I will be the greatest drift king ever. Nice. I'm just guessing at what they're saying, but all right, so you got your course, Akina, you got your car, your 8.6. You can't change that. It's just because you're doing the story mission. I'm going to go automatic, and there's my rival, my friend. And God, I cannot remember his name. I used to watch these animes. Sorry, my headphones are doing funny things. I used to watch these anime back in the day, and I even had them on DVD, and I really enjoyed it. But, the manga series, they really they geek out on, like, aspects of driving and stuff like that. They really get deep into it. Okay, what am I doing here? I'm going to try to go first person here. See how well I can do in first person. Whoa. Okay. Maybe not. Let's not do first person. So, you know, one of the first things that Pat had to say, and this game is a lot more fresh for Pat. You know, this was his assignment. You know, he played through this game and really gave it a fair shake. And I was going basically off of memory. And from what I remember, it's not a very easy game to control. And that seems to be true even now. Okay, that means there's a drift coming up. Yikes. Okay. Yeah. All sorts of oversteer. And he broke me off there. Okay. Let's try to gain back. And you could see up top here, he's getting all excited. Yeah, it's... First impressions, I can tell you, you know, when you hit the drift, when you initiate a drift, it just oversteers like crazy. And trying to get out of that is just very difficult. I almost feel like maybe the answer is to initiate the drift and just let go of the steering and allow the car to self-correct. Don't take my word for that. That's just my intuition. And I'm playing with a standard Japanese D-pad, classic, original Saturn controller, so it's digital. And I can't tell you if this has analog support. I don't know because I haven't tried it. So one thing we talked about was, and I think Chaz brought this up, is that, you know, Sega themselves did several excellent arcade titles in the Initial D series. But this was later. This was later on, like the Naomi hardware, and perhaps some of the later hardwares. And this really predates those. And you can tell. Yeah, I don't really feel... Can't say that I feel in control of this vehicle at all. But I do feel like... I don't know, I do feel like you can still... You know, I won the race, but that's not saying much. I look terrible doing it. Another interesting thing is that this game also saw a release on the PlayStation, but it's really almost two completely separate games. The graphics engine is completely different. The PlayStation renders things in a really different way, and it also, the PlayStation version also has like cutscenes that use 3D models. Visually, this just looks a little more dated than the PlayStation version. I have not played the PlayStation version, so I don't know how well or how bad it plays, but yeah, I don't know. So far, I'm kind of feeling what Pat said. Okay, but I managed to impress this girl, regardless of how many times I've banged into the walls. And he thinks I'm a god. Something like that. He's like, oh no, I'm shamed. One thing I remember about these anime is that in typical Japanese fashion, everything is just very over the top, you know. Character reactions and all that stuff. Which is fun. If you like that sort of thing. So who am I going to have to race next? Oh, the Nissan Silvia. This is your buddy. This is, I cannot remember his name, but he's like the leader of the Akina Speed Stars. So he thinks he's badass. He's like, Takumi. You must race with us. You must become a speed star. So he's gonna... I don't know if this is a side story or if this is just retelling the original. But yeah, so your Speed Stars area, Akina, AE86, automatic. There's my rival. Can't read those kanji, so I don't remember his name. But yeah, he's got a Nissan Silvia. Okay. We're gonna give this a shot. And really, you guys, I mean, whether this game is terrible or whether this game is not as bad as we said, I'm really just doing this for your guys' benefit so you can see, and so, you know, I can put my money where my mouth is. I haven't played this game for 10 years, so I feel like it's only fair that I actually give it a good fighting chance. I've been on a racing game kick lately, and I'm really interested in seeing if it's as terrible as we said it was. I can say one really positive thing, that despite the ooh, yeah, that's bad. You see, that's the kind of control, in quotations, control that you have with this game. Is it just the oversteer is crazy. Okay, I was about to say something good about it though. Let me do that. Despite the draw in and the fact that you're playing at night, so you have reduced visibility, the frame rate is actually pretty good. It feels kind of arcadey, to be honest with you. It does kind of have that same feel as the it has that same kind of feel as the Sega arcade games, as so far as frame rate and like sense of speed. It just kind of feels like chaos though. That's the only thing. A little chaotic. Oh boy. Yeah, so sometimes it just feels better to grip through the turn, even though it does not look good. I mean, it looks much more impressive to drift if you can get it, but I don't know. So Genki, they developed Drift King 97. And if you watch my recent video of Drift King 97, you'll see for yourself that drifting is actually quite doable, and they encourage it in that game. That's what the whole game is about. It's about drifting, just like this game, except it's on the freeway, you know, instead of downhill. They had like a perfectly working drift mechanic, and I have no idea what they did with that. I don't have no idea where that drift mechanic went because it's not in this game. This feels just unfinished. You know, it's doable. I'm not kidding. Like, my success, or lack, I mean, I guess any success that I'm having right now is on account of allowing the car to just autocorrect. So I initiate the drift, and then I just take my hands off the steering altogether and just keep my thumb on the acceleration. And that seems to be doing the trick, but it doesn't really feel as good as it did in the other game. So in the other game, you had to tap left or right to kind of hold the drift. You know, you just kind of had to hold the drift the same way you would grind in like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on a rail. You kind of had to like balance the drift and hold it through the turn. Keep your thumb on the accelerator and then just kind of like hold that drift through the turn. And it felt so good. It felt like it was like skill based. Whereas with this, it's literally like these turns are so sharp, you basically just let go of the steering. Another thing I have to say is this: it's not as pretty of a game to look at. I mean, it's not much to look at all, to be honest with you. But I mean, Drift King 97 was actually a pretty good-looking game, I think. Going back to it, and this one, I think the cars have a little bit more detail. But I don't know. considering that everything else is black, it's not like it was pushing the Saturn. I'm just surprised that it looks so chunky. Those are some jaggy polygons. Anyway, what do you guys think? I am going to... I'm at 15 minutes in the video right now. So he's shocked. He's just like, how did you beat me? You must join the Speed Stars. Me? No, really. Yeah, so they... one thing about the original Initial D series is they had these like awesome Eurobeat tracks. That's one of the things I loved about Initial D. And here they've pretty much traded those for like I don't know, punk or... Okay, maybe the cutscenes have a little bit of it, but... Oh, now we have to race the girls. Okay, so these girls, they insist on having two girls in the car, like they race together. I think the theory was that it balances the weight in the vehicle or something like that. I don't know, because of how the engine. Like I said, they get real geeky about about like the different strategies of racing and stuff like that in the Initial D series. And whoa, that is a short top right there. I'm about to get this video banned. I hope Facebook doesn't pick up on that, considering she's probably like 15. Oh, she's good. So, but I can... Come on, pick up speed. You know, I keep hoping that as I get better, I'll start to feel like I'm gaining control. I wonder if they did that on purpose. It made it really hard to control from the get-go to make you feel like you're a complete loser. I don't know. 'Cause either I'm starting to get used to the drift mechanic, or I don't know, or they like programmed it in. Yeah, it feels almost like, I'm not even gonna lie, it feels almost easier now. And I don't know if that's me. Oh no, okay, it's still hard. Come on, girls. You should be able to... They're supposed to be really good too, though. Like in the show, they're like one of the rivals that you have to overcome. Your buddies are not that good, actually. As it turns out, they were pretty easy to beat, but this is like one of your legit rivals. I don't know. I feel like if you guys watched the anime, and if you bought into like the whole series, and you like fan servicey stuff, you might be able to forgive some of the oversights and shortcomings of this game, and you might enjoy it just because it's Initial D. If you never watched Initial D and you're just judging this game on the merit of like what it is as a racing game, you might judge it pretty harshly, and I couldn't really blame you for that. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So there's two different ways to drift in this game. There's an e-brake drift, and then there's using the standard brake. And I find that at first I was e-brake drifting, and that seemed easier to me, but now I'm almost feeling like just regular brake drifting is easier. It could just be my imagination, though. This is not a review, you guys, either. By any means, this is not a review. This is like me playing this game, my initial impressions, you know, so I'm just going to be honest with you. I figure it's better that way, that I can just, you know, tell you what I think of it in the moment. Now I'm really interested to know if it supports analog. I mean, it came out in '98. So, you know, considering it's that late of a release, I would almost expect it to. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna tell you, despite the fact that the drift mechanic is completely different, that it works completely different and feels completely different to Drift King, it is something that you could technically get good at. And I'm finding that literally it is just a matter of not oversteering, not overcorrecting, but just initiating the drift. And I'm distracted. Okay, initiating the drift and then just basically letting off the steering and allowing the car to autocorrect. I want them to do different angles though, like more cinematic angles. I don't know if you can change that with the controller. Oh, there we go. Doesn't seem like you can. Doesn't seem like you can change the angle with the controller. You're pretty much locked into watching the replay the way. All right, so I'm gonna just skip through that. So everybody's amazed, and you're just like stoic. She's like, I want your body. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I used to actually, I mean, I know katakana and hiragana, a little bit of kanji, like basic kanji, but to be able to read it that quickly, forget it. And a lot of those kanji I don't recognize at all, so it's something I need to get back to. Oh, here's Kenji, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, Kenji. He's the one that tried to do the grip death match. Tied your hand to the wheel with duct tape, basically, so that you couldn't like turn. So you really couldn't turn the wheel more than like 45 degrees. So let's see here. Yep, he's got an EG. So he's got a Honda Civic hatchback with a little turbo in it. And his is front wheel drive. And I'm rocking rear wheel drive. So let's just see if this is going to get harder and harder. Initial impressions, though, are that I'm surprised that I'm this far, basically. I'm surprised that I've gotten this far in the game. And this is probably where I am going to lose. Because this guy's a lot faster than me. Oh, and this is an uphill. This is uphill. So that's the other thing, too. But I just passed him up. Whoa. Yikes. No kidding, man. The oversteer is just insane. You know, I think that in the 90s, though, and this is not intended to be like a stereotypical statement or anything like that, I think in the 90s, like, Japanese gamers, they really liked their games to be very difficult like this. So that, you know, when they succeed, they can like be proud of think of themselves as like gaming gods, or, you know, they want the drifting to be difficult enough that it's almost like your average gamer can't just pick this game up and excel at it. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think that this game was intended to be like an easy entry, just anybody can pick up and play kind of thing. Instead, you're supposed to feel, well, there was some rubber banding going on there. That did not seem normal. he should be breaking away from me. On a straightaway like that, I don't know. Now we're downhill. Whoa, okay, so there's a big drift coming up. Don't know which way it's going, though. That's the thing, too. You don't know which way. Yikes. Okay, that was a mistake. I'm almost to the bottom of the hill, though. Astounding. Pat, I think I'm going to have to maybe reconsider what I said about this game. I don't think it's the worst racing game on the Saturn. That might, I mean, I think I'm having more fun with this than, say, like Grand Chase or Cyber Speedway. And I'm not saying that that's a bad game or anything, you know. I'm just saying I'm having more fun right now with this. What else? What other kind of racing games? I mean, like Impact Racing. I don't know. Maybe you guys can think of some worse racing games on the Saturn than this. I think you know, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm thinking that if you're just burning games, if you're just burning import games, which a lot of us do, you know, we get a big stack of discs and we just burn import games that we think are going to be fun. You didn't pay for it. You're not invested in it. You pop it in. Immediately, you're met with like an incredible difficulty, maybe a language barrier, and you're immediately turned off to it. And you think, well, I've got a big stack of discs, so on to the next. And you just chuck it. I think this is one of those ones where I just didn't give it a fair shake. Like I just didn't really persist with it because, you know, I wasn't invested in it. I figure if you're a kid and you spent, you know, 40, 50 bucks on this game, retail, you brought it home, you're going to persist regardless of the difficulty. All right, this guy right here, he is racing a, it's a Type R. So this is a GTR 3.2, I think. I don't know where the engine chassis code is, but anyway, this is a Nissan GTR Skyline. So I think Pat said that's his favorite car. So yeah, I have to. This is Gunma, or I forget his name. Like I said, I'm real rusty with the names, but I think Initial D is available on Netflix or Amazon or one of those streaming services. So if you guys haven't checked it out, you can go watch it. I recommend watching it if you can. I recommend watching it without the English dubs, just with the subtitles. It's a lot of fun. Might seem dated by today's standards, like, you know, if you're used to modern anime, but I really enjoyed it. Playing this is making me want to go back and watch it again. Yeah, you know, it's like sometimes you feel in control, and then sometimes you just feel like you're riding on ice or something like that. It's crazy how inconsistent it feels. I have like these moments of triumph where I'm feeling like, wow, I think I'm actually getting the hang of this. Okay. I'm hitting the red line. Oh, I forgot. I misspoke before. Okay, he just broke me off, and I'm probably not going to catch up to him unless they do some kind of cheap rubber banding thing. I misspoke before. That little ding-dong chime that your car makes, that's actually not telling you that a drift is coming up. That was stupid of me to say. It actually just means that you've kind of hit, that I think you need to upshift. I think that's like the indicator that tells you need to upshift. Of course, I'm in automatic right now, so it doesn't really matter. Whoa. Whoa. Dang. Oh, we're getting so close. We're getting so close to the finish. Please, 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 let me pass him up. This is where I'm going to lose right here, you guys. Yeah, too bad. Well, that's where it ends. I could have won that race, but I think I was just talking too much. Let's just see what happens here. Oh, he's smoking a cigarette. He's so cool. That was the 90s, 80s and 90s, kids. They'd smoke cigarette. Well, I mean, they might do it today too in Japanese anime, but I mean, you don't see that anymore. Teenagers smoking cigarettes and he's just you know, I'm gonna call this video done now. I'm gonna end that right there, and then here's the rankings. Next course. And there I am right there at the top. Dave. So how do I exit? Oh, see, exit. Okay. So you can try the drifting. The fact that they put that in there, try drift. I mean, it's basically just a downhill course with 2 turns. They only give you 2 chances. And each time you just feel like you're just bashing into the walls. I think that's funny, you know, because if I did that first and I tried that, I probably would be turned off to this game completely. But I think getting into the scenario and just going for it and persisting is the way to go. And then battle, you could just choose like a random battle without the scenario. And then there's of course time attack as well. I'm gonna go on record here, and I'm gonna take back what I said. This is not the worst racing game on the Saturn. I think Pat was right in a lot of his assertions. I wouldn't say that he's wrong, but I just don't think it's as bad of a game as we really gave it a hard time. We really gave this game a hard time. We slammed it bad. I don't think it's as bad as we thought it was, and I'm actually having a little bit of fun with it. So I think I'm going to try to make it through the scenario, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. But for now, this has been Dave from SEGA Saturn SHIRO, reminding you that you must play SEGA Saturn. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and listen. Check out that racing episode. Aside from the poor review that we gave this game, I think we were pretty spot on most of the other racing games. And yeah, just play your SEGA Saturn and have fun, you guys. This has been Dave, SEGA Saturn SHIRO, signing off. See you later.